Even as I tell you this dream, I still get goosebumps. I wonder, am I making a mistake by sharing this? It is going to be one of the most mystical dreams you've ever heard. When I opened my eyes, I couldn't recognize my surroundings. Everything was shrouded in a hazy mist. It was as if I had already crossed the boundaries of the real world and stepped into an unknown dimension. The humidity in the air carried the scent of deep stone, and the ground beneath my feet crackled as I moved, but each step felt heavier than the last. At first glance, I thought it was a room, but the walls were irregular and distorted, and the ceiling reached far beyond the ordinary. No matter where I looked, my eyes could find no limit. I was caught in a play of dark shadows and misty light. Everything was silent, yet the silence turned into such an intense hum that there was a constant ringing in my ears. Every breath I took filled the space like an echo. As I moved forward, winds passing through the corners of the room brushed against my ear like a whisper. It was impossible to understand the words. It felt like a warning, "You cannot leave this place." Fear and curiosity were intertwined, but I continued forward, almost involuntarily. As the walls drew closer, narrowing corridors pulled me in. Water droplets falling from the ceiling created a strange rhythm as they hit the floor. This rhythm multiplied the sound of my footsteps in a distorted way, causing the shadows to dance. Even my own shadow felt like a stranger to me, as if someone had created another being that mimicked my every move. Turning a corner, I heard a child's voice in the distance, but there was no child to be seen. I followed the sound. My steps grew heavy, the air in my lungs thinned, and breathing became increasingly difficult. The silence was louder than noise itself. I could hear my own breath, and I could feel the shadows coming alive with its vibration. An old mirror appeared before me. I stepped closer to see the reflection, but my own face didn't look back at me. Instead, it showed someone from the past, someone I had lost years ago. They looked familiar, but their eyes were completely dark, harboring a deep void within. My heart was racing, yet I was drawn into that reflection with an insatiable curiosity. When I pulled away from the mirror, I noticed another corridor. This one was narrower, longer, and its walls were lined with hung paintings. The eyes within the paintings moved, conveying different emotions: anger, sadness, fear, even despair. One painting caught my eye, a figure walking alone in the depths of a forest. I approached, and the figure turned toward me. The face bore a familiar expression. But it wasn't my face, it was another version of me, a reflection from the depths of dreams. A mixture of fear and curiosity surged through my body. It was as if that figure wanted to tell me something, but words were not enough. I cannot describe the feelings I had in that moment. Suddenly, a whisper rose, a familiar voice, yet more realistic than my own thoughts: "You must face your past, or you will be lost." The voice grew stronger with every step, filling my ears until breathing became impossible. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, but the darkness behind my eyelids became even more vivid. I wanted to run, but my feet were stuck. With every movement, the ground turned into a quagmire. Suddenly, the setting changed. I found myself in a vast, dilapidated hall. Chandeliers hanging from the ceiling were broken and charred, walls were cracked, and the floor was covered in stone shards. In the center of the hall stood a large table, surrounded by silhouettes. They were human in form, but they had no faces, only a dark void. When they noticed me, the silence shattered. Everything in the room seemed to breathe. My heart pounded wildly, but I kept moving. As I stepped among them, I felt them penetrate me, not just physically, but spiritually. One of the silhouettes stepped forward, and a vision flashed in my mind: my childhood, lost memories, secret fears, my regrets. They were all laid out before me in an instant. That's when I realized, this wasn't just a dream. I was in the depths of my own subconscious, and I had to face my past. The silhouettes approached me step by step, not physically, but by weaving into my soul, turning my fear into curiosity. I had to face them, or I would be lost forever. The only thing breaking the silence was the echo of my breath and my heartbeat. The largest of the silhouettes approached me, and a light appeared in my eyes. The light grew, enveloping my body. My fears, losses, and pains vanished in an instant. When I opened my eyes, I found myself in my old room. The misty light still surrounded me. My breathing was fast, but there was peace within me. The fears I had encountered could no longer touch me. I was finally at peace with my past. From that day on, every morning I woke up, the dream reminded me of who I was, with its dark corners, secret fears, and all the mistakes I had to face. But I was no longer afraid. Because the most valuable thing I learned in that dream was that facing your fears requires courage, but in the end, it sets the soul free. Every night as I fall asleep, I feel the silhouettes fading into the misty light, smiling at me. I no longer see them as enemies, but as guides. The forest and the lake. Over time, the dreams grew deeper. I was no longer just facing the past, but the future as well. Potential losses, pains, and mistakes in the future winked at me from within the dream, whispering riddles I had to solve. One night, while walking through a dark forest, I found an old notebook on the ground. Its pages were yellowed and worn, but the writing looked fresh and vivid. As I turned the pages, stories emerged, tales of my past and my possible futures. Every page held a secret to be solved and a fear to be faced. As I moved through the forest, the shadows of the trees seemed to come alive. Branches reached out like hands, trying to stop me. But I pushed on. In the dream, every step was a struggle, every breath a test. Thin lines of light passing through the shadows guided my way. Along the path, people I had lost and memories I couldn't face accompanied me, helping me move forward like silent guardians. Finally, in the depths of the forest, I reached the edge of a great lake. The lake was dark and silent, with a hazy mist on its surface. In the middle of the lake, an island covered in light appeared. The island represented the heart of the dream, hiding the deepest secrets of my subconscious. I sat by the lake and took a deep breath. As I looked at the surface of the water, my past and future appeared together beside my own reflection. I was no longer afraid, for everything was right before my eyes. Escaping the confrontation was impossible, but so was liberation. The dream continued like an endless cycle. Every time I woke up, the misty light and shadows guided me, presenting my fears and hopes together. I knew now that dreams were not just images experienced during sleep, they were journeys through the labyrinth of the subconscious, allowing me to understand life itself. Every step, every breath, every encounter reminded me of who I am and gave me courage. I was no longer afraid to face the past or the future. Our story ends here. I hope you enjoyed listening to this tale. For more, don't forget to follow my page and support me by liking the video. Stay in the dream.